Winter storms, well, they take a breather, and the cold air remains, at least for now. No major storms are on the horizon. So let's get this all started and let you know what's going on tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And of course, you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, where ads are at an absolute minimum, by the way, by shopping, doing your Amazon shopping with our referral link that's pinned to the top of the chat board or on the descriptor to this podcast. Very simply, just go on that link, search and shop, get your stuff. Amazon throws us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. It doesn't cost you 1 extra cent out of your own pocket. And it's an easy, great way to support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And we appreciate very much those of you who have done so. And some have. So we both broke out the flannel today. It's that
Yeah,
time of year.
we almost look like the Bosby twins here, don't we?
But we didn't plan this, folks. It just happened. Joe had on a flannel shirt, and I remarked that I have a shirt. I actually have a shirt that's very much like what he has on. And then I took my sweatshirt off because I had my flannel shirt on underneath. So we kind of look like Bobbsey twin farmers. And that's fine because these shirts keep you nice and warm, and I'm happy. I know you had to have beaten me, and I saw some of the low temperatures this morning. You had to have beaten me on the low temperature.
-1.
Yeah. Okay.
Minus one was our temperature.
So you beat me by 4. You did not beat Brasstown Bald, however, though, because they got to mine. I think they were down to -5 this morning.
Okay.
I was 3 above. But I mean, there was some, believe it or not, I mean, it was, well, we talked about this last night. It actually, as cold as it was Monday night into Tuesday morning, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning was colder. And I think Montgomery got down to, I got a low temperature map that I saved from this morning. Montgomery got down to -13.
Correct.
And yeah, and everybody, and by the way, all these reporting stations, all in Orange County, -13, -12, -13, -13, -10, -6, -7. And Bill Goodman said that I'm trying to remember, I've heard of it, Pine Island. And I don't remember exactly where it is. Does that ring a bell to you?
Um, maybe 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, I might have had a answer just like that.
Well,
But I don't know. As I find as I'm getting older, what's happening is I know the answer, but it's just taking a much longer time for me to get it.
yeah, he mentioned someplace called Pine Island, New York. Okay, Pine Island is a hamlet in the town of Warwick in Orange County. And he said that, excuse me, from the satellite analysis that they used, they may have gotten down to 20 below zero this morning.
Well, there's still quite a bit of snow cover out there. And last night we actually started the night with complete overcast, and that bodes no good if you're looking for, a big drop. But as soon as we got to about midnight, like a sharp line, the cloud line just dropped off to the south and to the east. Skies became crystal clear, and down, down, down went the temperatures. And indeed, here at my house was -1. Newburgh Stewart Airport was -6. So was Danbury Municipal Airport in Connecticut, -6. Poughkeepsie, -9. I said Joe was express checkout weather this morning for the lower Hudson Valley and environs, 10 degrees or less.
Or less,
There were
yes.
places, there were places that did not go below zero. White Plains, Westchester Airport, +3. Bridgeport, Sikorsky Memorial, +7. But even Teterboro, which is like right on the verge of the northern edge of New York City, Teterboro Airport, also 7 degrees above zero. So it was certainly a cold, cold night last night. Will not get as cold tonight because we're looking at clouds, which will help to trap in what little heat we were able to gain today. My high today the home base was 19 degrees.
Wow.
And, uh, and I said on my Facebook weather discussion this afternoon, I said, you know that it has been exceptionally cold of late. When for tonight, the forecast for tonight, I said, partly to mostly cloudy and not as frigid. And you know that it's been cold when you say not as frigid in the overnight forecast, while still calling for a low temperature tonight of between 4 and 13
Yeah,
degrees.
I
Not as
know.
frigid as recent nights.
I know. Yeah, it's just the snow cover makes such a huge difference when you've got an Arctic air mass, and of course, depending on the wind direction. Sometimes, if there's a west wind, that helps to hold the temperatures up, even in Arctic air mass. But there were enough spots last night that, with clear skies, they just opened up. Just opened up. And by the way, uh, some of the low temperatures down in the deep south and along the Gulf Coast were obscene. I'm gonna see if I can get this screen up here and, and bring up. No, you know what? It's after 7 o'clock, so it's probably not going to have the numbers. But I'm just going
Don't
to give
forget
it a.
they're on. Don't forget parts of that area are on Central Time, and they usually wait until 7 o'clock in the evening local time to post the official low temperature numbers.
Well, it was at zero Z on the Weather Service hazard
Right.
maps.
Okay. So that would be 6 o'clock Central
Yeah.
Time. You're right.
Okay. I got the numbers. Okay, good. That's good. I'm gonna head down south here and show you some of the crazy numbers in the snow-covered areas of coastal Alabama, coastal Florida, Louisiana. Of course, now the numbers aren't populating. Low. There you go. Mobile had a low of 12. New Orleans itself had a low of 23, but on the North Shore, on the other side of Lake Pontchartrain, Hammond was 10.
Are
Slidell
you
was.
showing? Are you showing maps, by the way, or
I
trying
will
to
in a
show maps?
second. I will in a second.
Okay.
I just
All
wanted to
right.
make sure that I could get this up on the screen. So here we go. On the Florida coast, uh, Crestview, Florida, 15. Uh, I don't even know how to pronounce that, so I'm going to skip it. Milton, Florida, 12, and they had almost a foot of snow there. Uh, 16 at Mariana Municipal Airport, 19 in Panama City. I don't have pencil. Destin was 27, but that's right on the beaches. And you just go inland, Joe. It was all low teens and single digits all over the place. Houston, well, I lost Houston now. Come on, populate. No, don't want to populate. Doesn't want to repopulate. Oh well, but you get the idea, folks.
Yeah.
It was darn cold in those areas that uh, set all-time records for snowfall. New Orleans did. This was for New Orleans. Took out the 1895. I think it was 8.3 inches, and they got 10. So there was that. Snow in Galveston. It was weird seeing shots of snow on beaches in North Florida. It was just very strange to see that.
Weird. And I love these.
Yes,
On the evening news, they're showing, views of the palm trees swaying back and forth in the snow, or showing the ice that's on some of the roadways, like in Tallahassee or whatever. So it's
sure.
it's
Well,
it's
and I said
strange.
yesterday in the lives that I was watching from Fox, Channel 8 Fox in New Orleans, it was just so strange to see a live shot of somebody out in near blizzard or blizzard conditions, really, with 40 to 50 mile an hour winds and snow with visibility maybe 50 yards, and you could see the fronds of the palm trees just sort of swaying back and forth through the haziness. I mean, it was just something you never would have expected to see in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, yeah. It's as we mentioned last night, a multi-generational situation. We said that you normally would see something like this. And it has happened before, but it hasn't happened too often. Generally speaking, once every 50 or 60 years. Last time we had anything like this was back in the early 60s, 1963, and before that, 1895.
Right.
So I hope all of you are enjoying this because it may not happen, unless, of course, it happens in the next few years. Then we have to start considering, possibly that climate change or global warming might be a trigger. But generally speaking, when you do see this, it doesn't happen for a very, very long, long period of time.
Well, I think we should take note of the fact that at least so far this winter, uh, just about every weather system has gone, has been in the south, has tracked to the south. This is we had the 1,500-mile warm front, as we call it, a couple of weeks ago from Kansas to Virginia. And yesterday, I mean, it was virtually the same thing. It was from the central Gulf Coast across the Florida, eastern, northeastern Florida, and then up the eastern seaboard in almost a straight line. It was just incredible. So, winter patterns in the wintertime, storms tend to repeat in terms of how they behave and the storm systems and how they track. So don't be surprised if we wind up seeing more of this sort of stuff. Maybe it's never exactly the same, but it does rhyme. There is a rhymeness to it, and I think as forecasters, you have to bear that in mind when you're looking at guidance that especially in the longer term, that if they shows you that if they show you that it takes a track for a storm or shows an upper air setup that is different from what we've seen so far, you have to be suspect of it. So that's why you have to be. I think you have to watch carefully what models do on one particular run. If it's out of character to what we've been seeing so far this winter, you have to really question it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, though. In some winters, you get into a pattern where it seems like the same thing happens over and over and over again. So, who's to say? Maybe in February we'll have another shot of unseasonably cold weather penetrate down into the deep south, and maybe another round of frozen precipitation. We'll just have to wait and see.
Welcome to everybody on the chat board tonight. There are a couple of people that are new to the chat board. Fireman Rob, welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And I lost the other person, but whoever you are, I welcome you too. And welcome to those of you who are not on the chat board, but maybe you're watching in the background while you prep your dinner or eat your dinner or, you know,
Lurkers,
lurkers.
you're
Yes.
lurking.
Right. Just a heads up, we're going to take tomorrow off because the weather's pretty quiet. So we're going to take tomorrow off and then come back on Sunday night at 7:35 because we're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. and the occasional Friday and Saturday when there's a storm threatening. So just we're going to take a break tomorrow.
And I
Subscribe to
notice that I notice it's upsetting to Reuben Fairchild, who wants us to work every single night. But
No, he
based
actually said take a damn vacation.
he did. It actually told me to go back to Antarctica. But based on model output statistical forecasts, the probability, and I'm talking about right here in the tri-state New York City area, the probability of precipitation stretched out over the next 7 days averages only a paltry 8%.
Mhm.
So you can expect a quiet spell of weather with no rain or snow chances, probably right on through next Wednesday. There will be some minor, and I do want to underscore that word, minor disturbances that will be passing through tonight, Friday night, Sunday night, possibly early next Wednesday. That will induce some cloud cover, but that's about the total extent of any unsettled conditions from now and over the next 7 days. So
Well, I will
that's
just
the
I will
picture of that.
slightly disagree with that. Um, we've got an Arctic front that's going to probably come through. I don't know what the timing is going to be. It's either going to come through Monday night or during the day Tuesday. There's a nice shortwave with that's swinging southeastward. I think we could see a line of snow showers or maybe even some snow squalls when that goes by. That's
Oh,
the
that
most.
sounds like
That'll be fun. And maybe at the end of next week and going into next weekend, we might have something to contend with in one form or another. But we got to get there first. And there's going to be a lot of back and forth on how it'll play out, assuming that we have it's some. there's some reality to it. But in the meantime, let us now check the watches and mornings map, which I had, but I lost, and now I'm getting it back. Checking it out across the country. We still have, by the way, we still have some winter weather advisories up for portions of eastern North Carolina because of snow and ice. Not any of it that's coming down out of the sky, but just as far as stuff that's on the ground and freezing up in
Right.
a lot of areas. So that's that. We still have some cold advisories, which I just find ridiculous, but it's cold. It's supposed to be cold this time of year. And the extreme cold warning that is up for southern Mississippi, southwest Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle. I get it though, because you folks, you really are not used to this sort of stuff. So I totally understand that. We've got a few winter weather advisories up in some of the southern counties in Texas, where they're seeing a refreeze, and we've got a couple of winter weather advisories in southeastern Montana, northeastern Wyoming, some winter storm warnings in a few counties there, and still dealing with some. They had red flag warnings up, and now I'm looking at this map on the from the Weather Service. They don't seem to have the red flag warning. Oh, they do have them for a few counties, and they also have high wind warnings again for Southern California, away from Los Angeles. So in the mountains, they're looking at gusts of maybe 60 to 70 miles an hour. So of course, after the fires of last week, everybody's sort of on tender hooks there regarding something else starting up. And here's our satellite loop tonight. As Joe mentioned, we have this northwest flow in the upper atmosphere, and that's going to be a dominating feature for the next week. So you tend to have weak disturbances that move along, and unless they dig into as they come down, what I mean by dig is I mean they drop down, say into the Ohio Valley or even further south than that, or if they dig down into the Appalachians. Usually these systems don't really produce very much other than clouds and maybe some snow showers. There is going to be one stronger shortwave early next week, though, that I think we're going to pay a little bit of attention to. Beautiful day here across the deep south. I had sunshine from start to finish, a low of 3 and a high of 32. And my current temperature is 24. So been dropping about 1 or 2 degrees an hour since about 4 o'clock this afternoon. But it was a real nice sunny day in the areas that got hammered with that big snowstorm. Uh, they had the sunshine today. You can see some cloud cover off the coast of the Baja Peninsula streaming eastward. Actually, at some point, we're probably going to get into some rain soon in Southern California, which actually, Joe, may be a problem because of the fires and there's ash all over the place from the fires. If it rains, that ash gets into the water. The water drains into the gets drains into the water system, and
Uh,
could get into the drinking supply. So you have
besides one
that.
thing, it's another. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct. On the radar tonight, we do have it's a bit busy around the Great Lakes. And by the way, I neglected to say that we do have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings for western Michigan and also for the upper peninsula of Michigan because, excuse me, they are getting this upper air disturbance moving through, and combined with a little bit of lake effect off Lake Michigan, we've got bands of snow in southern Wisconsin, around Milwaukee, back into eastern Iowa, some snow aloft down to Chicago, and you can see these patches of snow in western Michigan, and they will accumulate in some places. They will have significant accumulation. Looks like some of that is surviving and moving its way out of Michigan and into the Canada side toward Toronto. Could possibly wind up seeing some snow here. We've got some snow aloft on the radar in the Catskills. I think Chuck Cardillo said he got down to 22 below zero this morning.
How low?
22 below
Wow.
up in the Catskills there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. South is quiet, the west is quiet, a little bit of action in the Rockies, mostly on the light side right now, and in the Central Plains, we'll call it, southernmost South Dakota into Nebraska. WPC, the weather prediction folks, indicating areas of precip over the next 7 days. Actually, it's rather minimal. Notice in Southern California, you have a half inch to even areas of an inch and a quarter. This is the first significant rainfall, by the way, if it materializes, which there's no reason to believe it won't. But when it happens, this is pretty much for a lot of those areas haven't seen any rain since May. In the meantime, you've got a patch of rain that's going to move through the western Gulf states in eastern Texas, Louisiana, except the southeast, just light stuff there, but heavier to the north, 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half plus, pushing up into parts of northern Mississippi and southwest Tennessee and into Arkansas. No rain, no precipitation indicated by WPC from southern Vermont and New Hampshire all the way down into portions of South Carolina, Joe. It's not often we see that, but we're in that white area, which means no measurable precip for the next 7 days. And as you
Yep.
pointed out, again, if we do wind up getting something with that upper trough early next week, we're talking we're talking hundredths here. Okay, so I'm not gonna lose sleep over the fact that the WPC didn't put point oh the light green point oh one to point 10. So well, we'll be forgiving. So I was kind of looking at this overall flow here, and I want to go to the polar vortex. So I've been really, I've been watching to see what this does in terms of how it plays out over the long range. And it's we've been seeing the polar vortex this winter has been in this mood of stretching. It will stretch and then unstretch and then stretch again. And every time it stretches, we've been seeing cold air intrusions into the United States. Now I'm just going to roll back here just for a moment. Here's another stretch that's going to occur early next week. So this is this Friday, and you'll see it just kind of stretches out there by the time we get to Tuesday and Wednesday, and there will be another cold air intrusion coming into the eastern part of the United States when it stretches. Then it kind of tightens up a little bit. It doesn't quite tighten up into one of those circular wrapped up little balls. It's close, but then it starts to stretch again toward the end of the forecast period. So, I'm kind of thinking that I think we're just going to kind of flow along over the next couple of weeks with just more of the same. Maybe we're not going to see the extreme cold, but on the other hand, I don't think we're going to really warm up very much. I think may have to be happy just to get back to near seasonal on a couple of days here and there.
Well, as I said, everything is relative. And tomorrow, for example, temperatures are expected to get here in the lower Hudson Valley into the upper 20s, and that's a good 10 degrees above where it was today. So it'll feel a lot better out there tomorrow, even though it's still well below normal by a good 10 degrees. You're right, Joe. When we get to Sunday and into early next week, temperatures are generally going to be around 36, 37, 38. And while that's not exactly warm or balmy, that is seasonable for this time of the year. But it is also, get to 37 or 38, that's about 20 degrees warmer than it was today. So we have become acclimated to this extremely cold air mass. And so when we do get back to normal, to some it'll feel like springtime out there. But then, as you point out, mid or late next week, with a sharp cold front coming on down and through the Northeast, we may go back to unseasonably cold weather, maybe to finish out next week, finish out the month of January.
Now, I'm looking at. I had the map of Europe up there because Adam Lowe. Thank you for reminding me. Because someone left a comment on our show last night, Joe, wanting to know about a big storm heading for Ireland, and this must be I'm sorry, my memory is fading. So this low that is sitting out in the Atlantic, I think that's the low that Sunday. I wish I could trace it back to be for sure. I don't think this is the Sunday low that brought the snows to the Northeast, but instead, I think this was the lead low that came out Saturday and formed off North Carolina. And you can see it here on the Atlantic map. That low, Mr. Rayo, deepens as it approaches the west coast of Ireland. I'm going to get that Europe map again, if I can find it. Where is it? There it is. This low, Joe, is a 946 low. A 9 foot,
Ooh,
like, and look at the gradient here. Now, the actual low center passes to the west of Ireland and clips northern Scotland. This is going to be for, well, if you're watching now from Ireland, it's already Thursday. So this is going to be later today and tonight, Thursday night, and there is even going to be some snow in the Highlands there in Scotland.
and
You
what'd
can
you say
see
in terms of millibars?
946. That's all. It's
Nine.
almost. That's like a low. That's a high level Cat 3, almost Cat 4,
That
as far
translates
as a
to,
hurricane goes.
you're not going to find that on your aneroid barometer on the wall of your home and office. That translates, 946 millibars translates to 27, not 29 or even 28, 27.93 inches of mercury. Crazy. Wow.
And Patrick Darcy says the chair of the National Emergency Coordination Group has said the storm uh, e- EOWYN. I'm sorry, Ewan. Is that how it's spelt and pronounced? Is it Ewan? Will probably be among the severest storms that Ireland has ever seen. Well, if the low stays just, I mean, it just that jump there. I mean, it just almost touches the north coast of Ireland before it goes over northern Scotland and goes out up on from there toward Norway. But that gradient is mean looking.
And this is not to say that London obviously is not in the direct path, but London will get some effects from that system as it passes off to their north and west. Some pretty breezy conditions, and also probably a goodly amount of showery rains.
Yeah, and then they got a couple of other Atlantic storms coming. This will be for later Sunday. Another 950 low, but this one actually a 948 low, but this one's further west. And then there's a southern piece of that that goes into the English Channel and into southern England, and that's a 950. That's a 960 millibar low, and then that eventually comes out into the North Sea and just they just rotate around each other. Look at this; it's like a pinwheel. Those two storms, and then yet there's another one behind that. So it looks like Western Europe, or I mean, certainly up in northwestern Europe and the UK, uh, getting hammered here with some, pretty big storms that are out there that are starting to populate the Atlantic, which we've been saying now there's been a minimal amount of traffic out there.
And so while we here in the United States have been talking about firestorms in California and all of the wintry weather that is brushing across the southeast and southern states, now we look across the big pond and we see that our friends in Ireland and possibly Scotland and other parts of the UK are going to be dealing with, as you just mentioned, Joe, one of the most severe storms that they've ever seen.
Yes.
It's amazing. The weather has been in some parts of the world. It's been very very active.
All right. So the broad bowl upper air pattern, and for those of you who don't know what I mean by a broad bowl, if you look at if you're rolling the back to jet stream to Sunday, this is what I'm talking about. Is the fact that this is what the upper air looks like. It looks just like a very broad bowl. That trough pulls out, but another one is coming around it, and that's why you're seeing some of the action tonight around the Great Lakes. Another upper trough is swinging into the east. This is why we're not, the, while the Arctic air is moving out, this is actually a bit of a reinforcement, which is going to keep temperatures from rising too much over the next several days. We'll probably have to wait till Sunday before we start to see some numbers go above freezing. And then next week, I mentioned that on Tuesday, this is a sharp right here. This is a sharp upper trough that moves southeastwards across the northern Great Lakes and then swings across the northeast. Again, this is you look at it, Joe. It's a nice little shortwave in there that's swinging around. That's why I think that we have a chance to see. We might see some squalls out of that when it goes by.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, it's about more than a week away, but it's good to speculate that we might see something like that, especially since we're going to be into a rather quiet weather pattern. Especially so if Joe, we somehow manage out ahead of that system to see temperatures bump up, let's say, into the 40s briefly, and then you got that sharp V line, if you will, in the upper atmosphere coming through. Yeah, that could very well set off a line of snow showers and maybe even a few snow squalls. We'll see.
Meanwhile, if you look in the southwest, well, if you look in the west, the trough is dropping down the west coast and cutting off there, running down along the coast of California. This is going to be their rainmaker. Now, we're into early next week. That upper low eventually is going to get kicked out eastward, and you'll notice we're still getting flow from Canada dropping down into the eastern United States. There probably will be another cold air mass coming. It's going to be the coldest air is going to be confined to the northeast, mid-Atlantic, and maybe the easternmost Great Lakes, eastern parts of the Ohio Valley. But that system in Southern California will eventually get kicked eastward, and then you have something coming down from the north. So this is where we start playing games with the models on whether, does something come down from the north and phase with it? Does it phase further west, which is what the 12Z run was suggesting? This run says no. If there's a phase, it's further east. I don't even know if there's going to actually be a phase at all. But that would be probably the next thing to watch for, and that would be for late next week. So until then, I'll put the surface map up here and just roll it back. And the European, by the way, is very similar. So there's no real need for me to show both. But you can see in California, you get that cutoff low, and you have a surface reflection of it east to the west of Los Angeles. So you got some rain and you've got some mountain snow there. Doesn't look like a whole heck of a lot, if you ask me, but what do I know? And then there's the upper trough for Tuesday. Is storm in Canada, in southeastern Canada, moving eastward, has a fairly decent area of snow with it. Probably going to get some decent lake effect out of it. Where are we going to get the lake effect out of it, Joe?
Where?
Where have we been getting the lake effect all winter long?
Oh, well, been getting it with the west and west northwest winds have been blowing over the Great Lakes, the lee of the lakes, Buffalo and Rochester to a degree, and also in portions of Lake Michigan.
Yeah,
This has been a seemingly unending story,
right.
or almost unending story since November.
North central New York, southwestern New York, north and west PA, northeast Ohio, the usual suspects. And actually, even the GFS and the European both show something here coming through sometime Tuesday evening with some snow. So we'll see if it happens. And then, of course, that upper low comes in. Most of the rest of the country actually is really quiet. I'm amazed at how quiet it is in the west, particularly the northwest. I mean, that's their rainy season there, and I mean, it's just nothing. But now you're going to start to see some of that energy coming east, and models are going to try to pick up on it. The I saw this on the 12Z run. Okay, I'm going to just go back. The 12Z run took a low in Louisiana, out of the Western Gulf to Louisiana, and pretty much ran it up the Mississippi River into the Great Lakes. Okay. And since it, again, as we said earlier in the show, no storm has done that. Nothing has done that this entire winter. They've all been going south. And then the 18Z comes in and has a low in the western Gulf. Kind of almost looks like yesterday, except for the fact that there's less cold air, and runs up toward the Florida Panhandle. And I don't want to, look, this is going to change again, but on this particular run, it shows a massive ice storm over central and North Georgia, South Carolina into North Carolina. And then it takes suddenly, instead of the low being in Chicago, it goes through the box, Joe, as a deepening low to the northeast. But look, I think something's going to probably try and happen late next week. It would be really unusual for us to go 16 days without seeing anything, although that was the case through a good portion of October and November, but that's the fall. I'm thinking it's a little bit different in the winter months. Uh, so well, we've got a long way, a lot of time to see how this all evolves. In the meantime, we just have to stay warm.
Yeah, I was about to type something to Fireman Rob, who has been on the chat board, steaming about the fact that he's not being able to see his New York Ranger games on cable. Let me point out to you, Fireman Rob, it's not Dolan that is the one who's depriving you of the Ranger games. The one that is depriving you of the Ranger games is the company that the Dolan family sold Cablevision to, and that is Altice. Altice just went ahead and said, "Well, we want to charge you more money for your service or for your televising the sports games, the Rangers, the Devils, the Knicks, or whatever." And so I think the problem is not so much the Dolans who own the Knicks and the Rangers, but Altice who owns the cable company that would allow you to see them. They are not. They are at an impasse, and when you consider the egos of both men who own both respective companies, this may be going on for quite some time to come. I'm happy to say that we got back Channel 11, Joe, Pix 11. If for nothing else, I get a chance now again on Saturday nights to watch my 1 hour of the Honeymooners on Saturday nights on Pix 11, which is really the only thing I think that makes Pix 11 worth watching is the Honeymooners.
Oh, it's too funny.
Of course, if you were still on Pix 11, Joe, I would
And I
say
would be worth watching. Yes, I would.
exactly.
Oh God. Well, um, well, we're not, and we're not going to be. And even though they may want to, I don't even know if I would even allow them to carry the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which is on here on YouTube Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. with the occasional Friday and Saturday. Okay, so any plans since we have decided that we're going to have a 3-day weekend? Do you have any plans in store?
Tomorrow, my grandson will make his visit to us, and so we'll have him tomorrow through the entire day. We enjoy
The
watching him
whole day you're going to have them, Joe. The
all
whole
day,
day.
all day. And then the first thing on Friday morning, Renata is leaving me. She's going away. She's going to be traveling to Pennsylvania to help her brother get, as some of you are aware, my father in law passed away back in December. And so my brother in law has been trying to get the house back together. And so he made a request that Renata come and help him. And so that means that Renata will probably be there at least on Friday and maybe even on Saturday. So I'm going to be kind of like you, Joe, for a couple of days, maybe, all by my lonesome. With the only one who is watching with me is the dog.
Is she leaving you some like pre-packaged foods that you barely know how to boil water?
I don't know. It may be, for dinner, I may have the clown make me a dinner, a Big Mac or a couple of hamburgers, or I may go to the Colonel for some chicken, or I might just go to the local Chinese restaurant. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You mean Hong Kong Gardens?
The Hong Kong Gardens, yes.
Well, uh, I don't have anything really planned. I think my grandkids are coming over Sunday because it's my granddaughter's birthday on Friday and it's my birthday on Monday. So
Yes.
we're gonna do something together. So yes. 66, Joe. There's a short window from
You want
now
it?
until August where you and I are just 2 years apart.
Yes. When we get to August, it will be my 6'9" birthday. My
Yes.
final year coming up in the 60s.
You need a sea breeze.
Oh,
You
yes.
desperately need a sea breeze. All right, folks,
Absolutely.
we're done here on tonight's show. Thanks for being here. Don't forget, by the way, if you can't find us on YouTube, you can find us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on uh, I mean, you name whatever. They have so many places where podcasts call home. We're there. So, you can always listen to us in the car if you can't, watch us live here on YouTube. Or if you miss the show, you can watch it on a replay here on YouTube or just watch it on your favorite podcast site that you may use. And we'll see everybody Sunday at 7:35 p.m. All right?
And thank you for the 70, I believe it's 76 likes,
89.
89 likes.
No, we didn't get to 100, Joe. We only got to 89 tonight. So you didn't
Well,
get to ring the bell.
we're giving the bell a break.
Yes, it's a union bell.
Yes.
All right. Everybody have a great night. And whoever's emojiing a bunch of hearts, thank you. We appreciate it very much. Now we're at 99. Get the bell ready. We
Oh,
can go out on
really?
a high note. Yeah, we're at 99. Go ahead, you can ring it now, 101.
Yay!
All
There
right.
you go.
Thanks for the 101 likes, and we'll see you everybody on Sunday. Night, night.
Nighty night, folks.